So the brand new Grow A Garden update is finally here, and one of the main things to note is this update has a lot to unpack, but I'll be covering both everything in this new update and in general the best grinding strats for it. So starting off with the first thing, we are going to have the new fairy godmother. So when you talk to her, right, pretty straightforward. So you have a few options. So there's who are you pretty much don't need to do that. It's a lot of yapping. And then we have the what do wishing wells do. So we'll start off with this thing. So the wishing well right here. So you're going to contribute to the wishing well, which will reset your plants that are going to have this mutation right here, which is going to be glimmering. Now, glimmering is going to be, obviously the mutation from this event, but you can do offer all plants and it'll take all of the ones that have that. And then there's another thing you can do with the wishing well. So as you see right here, we have this thing, the glimmering daffodil is showing. That doesn't mean you have to contribute that one. That's just one of the ones you can't do. But so as you see, you're going to show tasks and then boom, as you see, offering one glimmering dandelion. So you can obviously skip these. You can, with Robux, and as you progress, you get better stuff, but you can do these. And then also once you do this, you get like points and the contributed glimmering mutated plants to this. So when you contribute to the wishing well, you'll actually get these coins. So then these coins, which is what this is going to be for, is what you're going to do upgrades. So as you see, there is a multiplier, which I really like this. So there are a few things you can upgrade. First things first is going to be the glimmer multiplier. So this is going to multiply the amount of glimmer mutations you get, I believe. The second one is going to be loose fairy spawn amount. So this one is, as you saw at the start, if I remember to record it, but there's a fairy that'll, they'll spawn in periodically and you can interact with them, and then they'll fly over to your garden and mutate something. So there's that, and that's one of the ways you can get the mutation outside of the event, but you have to manually interact and do that. And then the next thing is going to be the fairy event duration. So this is going to be for your own, player, not affecting everyone, which I do like. So you can upgrade this. So by default, it's 10 minutes, starts every hour, and it's going to run for 10 minutes. And then the next one is fairy spawn amount. So this is going to be how many actual fairies spawn, I think, during the event, meaning obviously the better. So you can get the mutation, but then there's actually ones that can spawn. So meaning obviously the better. But the next thing to note is the best way you can grind this event. So first things first, the best recommendation I would have is going to be AFKing, since obviously you want to get as many of these as you can. And like most things, there is a mutation-based system on the rarity of the plant. So you should try to get all plants that you have at higher rarity, just so you have a better trade-in value. Because obviously this is a mythical, so it's not going to be too good. But I can switch over to my other garden plot, which is going to have other crap. So I can switch over to here. Oh, my garden grew. That's bright. But boom. So we have a bunch of mutations here. So the main thing about all of this is, first things first, you want volume. So you want to have as much volume as you can. If that, doesn't make sense. But say, for example, we have a burning bud. So this is going to be prismatic rarity. If you get prismatic rarity, it's going to be better. Or, beanstalk, these are going to be prismatic. So these are going to have a higher trade-in value. But let me try to get this one right here. This one has glimmering. Boom. Another thing is, if you do have a T-Rex, you're going to be set. That is the best thing for this, because obviously, if you are spreading the mutation around and it is one of the ones it grabs, or you have multiple T-Rexes, it's just going to be better value. But as you see, you get these credits and you can start to do this stuff. The next thing you can do is you can also buy this skip. So in the task, right, if I don't want to get a specific glimmering dandelion, I can skip this. This resets, so every day you can max out these tasks, skip, and then you can make a wish. Now in the make a wish, you can do these things. So I want an enchant egg. Boom, we got an enchant egg. Now though, it's going to be a higher level. So now the other thing is, once you fill up this bar, you also get a wish. Once again, furthermore into the side, the volume is necessary, but we got one of the eggs. Now in the egg, there are a few different pets you can actually obtain. Now, obviously not a lot of them have been identified since, this update's newer, but here is a screenshot of one of the ones you can get. This is going to be the new divine one you can get. It is very good. So this is going to be the new cock. I'm not even going to try to say that so as you see, every 19 minutes, so pretty much 20 minutes, it will screech, and all fruits within a 20 stud radius have a 20% chance to turn silver. And if they're already silver, then they have a 1% chance to turn gold. So this is actually really overpowered, considering this can affect every plant first off in the area. And then on top of that, it can also apply these mutations and gold included, meaning it's pretty much like the new dragonfly. But not only is it like the new dragonfly, but it's also probably better if you want to think about just base value. So the next thing is going to be its other ability. So every 10 minutes it'll split it, or it spits at 5 different fruits, eggs, or pets, and they will get a toxic mutation. So if it's a fruit, they get the toxic mutation. If it's an egg, they'll advance by 81 seconds, and if it is a pet, they'll get 800 XP. Now that is really overpowered, but so say for example you want the mutation, you can pretty much just not do anything. I do believe toxic mutation is actually the currently not a mutation. I think I'm mixing it up with the one from a different event, but regardless, you get what I mean. So you can get the toxic mutation pretty much just from that. Now, what makes that really overpowered by itself is alongside that, you can also get, you know, the mutation and whatnot. But another thing with the tasks is once you get to 5, I think you get more wishes the more of these objectives you complete, but obviously with the, you know, issue of having to complete more of them. Now, as you saw, I also got like 500 for completing it. So if I were to say skip the next one, see, skip fairy quests, I get even more. Make a wish, I want to get a seed pack. Boom. Also, now as you saw, it said a thing appeared. So this is what we're going to be looking at. So this is going to be the fairy. So it'll just fly over to your garden and mutate something. They'll come in, right, to whatever, mutate it, boom. But next thing is there are also going to be some other cool things that have been added. So this NPC is over here. Now, do note, this is the testing server. There's a chance this isn't actually in the game yet, but a bit of things. So this is going to be Ascension. So I have no clue what this actually even does. Okay. So Garden Ascension, are you sure? You want to ascend. So you will get 1 garden coin, but you lose all your shekels, and this is 1 billion. Now, the next thing to note is you can use these Ascension coins to buy these things. So you can buy all this crap. So you can get, say, for example, a save slot. You can get a 3rd save slot, which takes 5. So you have to rebirth, whatever you want to call it, 5 times. There's the egg capacity, so you can place down more, up to 5, meaning 8 at max, and then 5, so you can do even more. And then there's things like this pet inventory capacity. You can, you know, have more pets in your inventory at once. So this one unlocks 10 additional slots for your pet inventory, and you can get this 5 times, meaning 50 more slots. And then this one unlocks 10 additional slots for cosmetics in your inventory. This isn't the ones you place down. This is the ones you actually like hold. So once again, there are 10 additional slots. There's 50 more in total. And then this one, plant inventory capacity. So if you didn't know, right, when you're planting crap or your inventory itself, so it caps out, and you can either increase your plant inventory by getting the pack B, or you can now get this. Now, the only downside is, as shown, you're going to lose all your shekels. Now, what doesn't make sense is you can pretty much just trade all the shekels over to one account, except like the, you know, 1 billion or whatever the amount is, and then just, you know, rebirth, trade the rest back over, and you're fine. Which obviously, I mean, I'm expecting them to, you know, understand that, but you know, nonetheless, is fairly simple. Now, it would be funny if they had a system to protect from that, which would be hilarious, but this is going to pretty much work as like a reset almost to the, you know, whole shift that happened recently, where like the economy pretty much got screwed over. Now, I'm assuming the more you rebirth, the more expensive it is each time you want to do it, which would make sense. So if you want to rebirth once, it's 1 billion. The next one is like 10 billion, and then it gets to 1 trillion. And then eventually, you know, you're just losing all your money. But this would work in the benefit of considering it will probably reset and fix, you know, the whole Grow a Garden economy, which is kind of ruined after the need. Furthermore, there's not too much more in this update. It is pretty cool. I will be giving away a bunch of these limited. So if you want to enter into the giveaway, all you got to do, like, subscribe, and comment your username down below. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.